Ivy. I know he's done the exact same thing towards upper B. One of my favorite clips of him is actually where he managed to get a 4K basically 20 seconds into the round by stopping a B upper rush. He plays it incredibly well and actually manages to peel for such a extraordinary amount of time. I'm actually taking a gander at the roster here. Sneaky is in for Rebirth. Sorry if I'm wrong here, but Sneaky isn't usually on Rebirth, right? Yeah, I think it's Carson who usually plays. No? Oh, they're in for Exotic. Okay. Julian, the match has not already started. We're waiting for everybody to get into the server. It's currently 8 out of 10. I'm just going over match history while we just go ahead and try to wait for things to actually get underway. But I have to say, I mean, looking at this on paper, yeah, it should pretty overwhelmingly go the favor of Rebirth Esports. But there's always a chance to surprise. I know that Kinship have done a little bit of surprising against, again, a team like Rugrats, who, well, I wouldn't say are top of the line MDL. They're definitely up there in the upper half. No problem, Julian. I know that can be a little bit confusing because it says the match is live, but again, we're just waiting for everybody to get in. It shouldn't be too long, however. There's a 15-minute grace period, so it should start within the next 3 minutes or so. But I have to say, I mean, going back to my main point, this has been a really wonderful grinding period for a lot of the players on Rebirth. Relatively new roster, I think it's fair to say, and maybe a little bit of a super team as well. I'm not going to say like this is a major winning team or anything, but these are some of the better players in MDL, I'd say, who have all kind of gathered up together, and they're actually doing pretty good as a squad of 5. And as I also mentioned previously, they faced off against some of these better teams in IEM New York, where they met some eventual losses against New England Whalers, 1-2 to them. Same story with Triumph, and they didn't even get a map off of Evil Geniuses. That was actually such an obliteratingly quick match. It was 16-3, 16-1. So yikes, rough times. Julian saying you love the knife that Aura has. Yeah, that's the classic knife. Costs a lot of money, but it looks really nice. It's supposed to be a throwback to the, I believe, Counter-Strike Source knife. I haven't played much 1.6, but the animations are definitely not from 1.6. I know that. I'll see the knives of everybody else while we have the chance. Carson has that nice little M9 bayonet. There's a, whoa, what is that on Grape? What? Oh my god. I got poor just looking at that. Dang. That man has a knife for days. Has a nice little Japanese name tag on top of it as well. And you have to go ahead and look at knives just to pass the time here. You can tell that it's going to be probably a slow start to actually get going here. I don't usually like to cut to live, but I'm trying to get a little bit more practice with my pre-games, being able to talk about things, talk about topics. But, I think I've actually talked about all the main points, other than, predictions, which I've already talked about as well. And I've actually, never mind, yeah, I've covered basically every single point here. Map history between the two teams. They haven't really went head-to-head ever. They're kind of on different planes of existence when it comes to a lot of their MDL performances. It's not that Kinship are bad whatsoever. They definitely earned their spot here, and they have some sick players. Swan is incredible. Grape, same story, but they have definitely not been having the best of times. I'm actually wondering if we see a reschedule. I'm trying to take a gander at everything. I think they're waiting for the Whalers game, perhaps? Not exactly sure. Oh, yeah, I think that's it, actually. I'm pretty sure that these teams are waiting for the other map that's currently going on the ESEA Twitch between New England Whalers and, I want to say, Team 1? Actually, don't really know. Yeah, Team 1. Pretty sick game. I think they're just trying not to override that, perhaps. It's currently 18-18 between the two, so glad to see that that is definitely proving to be a banger of a game. One of the games I was incredibly excited about. And the thing is, it was actually supposed to be happening in MDL tonight. Unfortunately, things didn't end up actually going through because conflicting with IU New York. And so we're going to be seeing it run back relatively soon, probably in a week's time. But hey, we can shift our focus to something else here. Again, I think it's incredibly interesting that Rebirth have actually swapped up the roster a little bit by bringing in Sneaky, which, at least according to HLTV, he's going to be in. Not sure if Exotic is going to be back in the picture. I know that he has other stuff going on. Not sure if it's personal or just like, you know, he has a job or something. Players are definitely taking their sweet time to get in, however. Might toss it back to a break if it takes a little bit longer. This is, again, maybe not the most enthralling thing to watch in the world here, but this is kind of the life of casters sometimes. You just kind of wait for things to happen. And if they don't happen, you sit here for a while. Again, I suppose now is a good time to ask any questions if you guys have any, but otherwise, you can enjoy the ride. Actually, looking at things here, it's nice to take a look at everyone's knife. Like, seriously, I kind of want to do a little bit of the math here. Like, what is the average inventory price on every single player in here? It's got to be upwards of like $700 just by knives alone. Like, that butterfly fade float value is, God even knows. Thing looks factory new. Oh, come on, Chop. You gotta hit this flick, dude. Hit the pregame. Oh my god. Chop. Old Chop hits us. Come on, man. You know, I honestly thought since the map changed that this game is going to be started by now. Yeah. What's the hold up, though? Everybody from Kinship is in. But who's missing from Rebirth? Is it 4-pack? I don't think Cynic is playing, are they? If anyone knows, I would gladly listen to you. What knife does Cynic have? That's the real question of the day. I think he has a black lamb in it. Karambit? See if I can go ahead and guess my pro player knives. Maybe I won't need to. Rape is a monster. See, this is a rough part about solo casting. Part of the next big caster challenge is that this basically has to be a completely solo effort, which I respect and I really, really like, you know? It's kind of about your skills of being able to handle a show alone. The thing is, it gets really lonely sometimes, man. Like, I don't even know what the hell I'm going to be talking about. I have no one to work off of. It's just me, myself, and I. I can banter about knives all I want. But hey, who even knows if at this point it's going to be better than a little bit of CSGO ASMR. Still, though, the Team 1 versus Whalers game is going on. I legitimately do wonder if they're just waiting for that one to finish. If, like, there's someone who's just sitting in the fan cams or something is like, yo, don't start the game. But it looks like Team 1 are about to take map 1. Not going to spoil. But that should be enough of a spoiler to tell you, hey, keep an eye on that game if you're interested in it. New England Whalers, they have definitely been surprising me in these past couple of weeks, at least. Probably not months, but definitely weeks. A roster like this usually don't have the highest hopes for, you know, they're not making it incredibly deep into a lot of these seasons, or into a lot of these, like, MDL seasons, but man, this is something else. I know. Alright, well hey, at this point, I think I'm just going to go ahead and bring it over to the ticker again until we actually have a bit more action. Sorry about the wait, I just don't know what's the hold up. I'll see you guys soon.
And that's when you can see all my flaws, and I could tell you don't mind that. Oh no, you said come a little closer, come here and I can show you. So I came a little closer. You said I'll show you how to love you, how to love you.
It finally begins. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for waiting. I know that's no fun to have to wait for 8 minutes after the match started, but hey, that's just how it be sometimes. We're finally in with our next and final game of the day here. Although there might be another MDL matchup currently going on for ESL CSGO, this is the one that really matters here. Rebirth versus Kinship, a match which I think by all means Rebirth should be able to run away with. However, I'm ready to be surprised. I think Kinship, you know, they've managed to upset Rugrats before in a BO1, and this is also a BO1. Plus, this is Train, which, although Rebirth haven't exactly had a wonderful record on it, nor have exactly the side of Kinship either. I mean, we're talking pretty minimal win rates for both of these teams, and minimal, like, actual stats to go off of. However, Rebirth, they have a pretty sick roster here. They've brought in Cynic, who I believe is going to be in for Carson? No, Carson's in. Retchie. I think they're in for Retchie, unless this is Retchie and I just have no idea of it. But a new face on the block here, complete with the Studio Ghibli avatar. That means that I'm basically automatically going to be rooting for them here. Slow start from Kinship, however. They're just going to be trying to pop themselves in over towards B, get the bomb down, play it from there. And thing is, judging by how Kinship have played some of their previous rounds, usually they push deeper. I think they actually try to get Z control after the fact here. So I'm going to keep an eye on Chop here, since he's going to be trying to be on the entry frag duty. However, we have to keep an eye on Carson as well and see if he can do anything from this position. It's a very isolated position, and he needs to wait for rotates to come through. Unfortunately, he hasn't bought enough time to actually be effective. Sean is already quick on the flank here, and this is looking like a golden opportunity for Kinship to pick up their first round. However, Cynic, not to be outdone, will be able to find one on the retake. That'll be great. But here comes Sean in from the flank. He gets two, just like that. Kinship are looking wonderful to maybe take this round. It's a 2 versus 2 here. Next kill probably decides all here, and Ara realizes that he doesn't want to give up his life here. He tries dancing around the bomb train, but 4-pack is just too quick on that USP. He'll get a triple, and it'll be the first round going the way of Rebirth Esports. Although the bomb basically goes to the absolute last second. I'm glad that the favorite team at least takes that from the get-go. Thing is, it was a really well-played round by Kinship, too. I don't think they can be necessarily sad with that result. You see that they're already reinvesting into this round. Getting AKs, Galil's on the board here, Ara just with the Desert Eagle. But just like, you know, that was pretty well played. They isolated that pick onto Carson right off the bat here. Sean, unfortunately, even though he got 2 kills, and that was actually an incredible flank, they just kind of ended up siphoning players just while trying to make a bit of a distraction for Sean. So both teams investing every last dollar. Their wallets are going to be basically incredibly thin after this. Trying to eke out that first kill as well. But nothing will be wrung out. There is a heavy emphasis over towards Ivy from both teams, quite honestly. A crossfire position. This isn't incredibly uncommon to see, but just the sheer nature of it does seem a little bit overwhelming. Considering Phantom is playing anti-flash at the moment, or at least an off angle, it seems that Cynic is probably just going to give this up. He doesn't exactly need or want to fight this, and he can fight things on his own terms here. Beautiful hold by Rebirth. They will absolutely shut the door on Kinship, and it'll be a nice swift 2-0 start. Or it should be, at least. I suppose there are 2 players from Kinship who, although they made noise here, aren't quite prepared. Exotic. Maybe caught with his pants down. Maybe he accidentally decided to take a bathroom break mid-round or something. Well, at least Grape is able to find 1 more kill. He's on 4 points of health, however. Not going to go much farther than that. He takes another step. And, I mean, what was that with Exotic? Was he actually AFK or something? It was like such a weird angle to hold, and I feel like, I know 16:9 and 4:3, you know, those are very different resolutions. And it could lead to some situations like that, but I feel like, all things considered, you should have just looked around a little bit. Pistols up for Kinship. Probably will just be trying to eke out a quick kill over towards B if they still possibly can. They're starting to get a decent idea of how Carson likes to play it, considering how he took that last round in his hands, Molotov. And yeah, they'll trade 1 for 1. Good start. There's still multiple layers to this defense, however. Rebirth don't have to worry. Although they have lost 1 vital member, Carson, they're still only up against basically nothing more than Glocks, as well as that single MP9, and they'll dismember of basically everybody on Kinship. Julian, by the way, unless I'm messing up your name, sorry if it's like Julia Nar, I don't know. Just let me know what you prefer to be called. Asks if I think Train is a CT map. Now, I'll be honest here, I'm not an expert, but I definitely think it is. Just because some of the op angles that you can post up at on CT side in particular, there's a lot of cheeky off angles you can take. Like, take a look at how Carson, or how 4-Pack is playing on top of that Train at B. The, what color is that Train? Beige? Is this beige? Oh, I can't really tell right now because the color is all messed up here. I don't even know what I usually call this Train. Is it like front? Okay, yeah, I'd say like beige. It's probably a good descriptor for this one. Anyway, there's just so many different angles that you can play on the CT side. The sight lines are pretty wonderful, and you almost beat the Ts to their checkpoints almost every single round. So I'd say definitely does favor the CT side. However, I'm not an expert. Maybe I'm incorrect on it, and I would definitely hear any criticism because I know it's going to be more valid than the open player. 1 kill out for Kinship already. They're going to try to make this a T-sided map if they can. Really aggro positions adopted by some of the players on Rebirth, and thing is, they're not quite panning out in the long term. Take a gander at that kill feed, and you'll definitely be able to see that there's blue and yellow stripes alternating. Eventually, though, Kinship will get tired of that pattern and look to make it filled with yellow. As Carson, he's left in a 1v3 here, and he does have the sneaky angle to the first. Thing is, the second one is going to be so difficult to do because he only had a Galil. Up against an AK, you know, you're just probably going to be losing that head-to-head a majority of the time. Good stuff by Carson, though. He denied any opportunity for Kinship to pick up that AWP again. And thing is, they can't really afford to reinvest into it, Kinship. They're going to have to go ahead, take a Galil. Meanwhile, Rebirth, they're going to be completely fine with that. They'll have an AWP, no problem. 4-Pack, I think I mentioned this last time around I was on mic before I took my break, is he's one of those players who can play so many different positions with the AWP. Maybe that's part of the reason why I definitely think that this map is CT favored. Because 4-Pack is so versatile when it comes to it. You already see he's playing rotator position, going in and out of B ready to rotate at any given moment. Carson, although he's trying to be the Bastion over at the B-bomb site, unfortunately the patient play by Kinship is working out in spades. 2 kills off the bat. Cynic will try to trade things out here. Unfortunately, he'll be caught off guard in the middle of that attempt. It's 4-pack versus 4. He's going to need a pack of kills if he can here. His position has been zeroed in upon. There's vertical fights happening all over the place too. Rebirth. This is going to be a very strange round. A very strange situation come next gun round, I should actually say, to reword myself. This round, I mean, no, this is going to be probably a complete slaughter. But next gun round, now that they're kind of understanding where Kinship likes to play, you know, Cynic, I feel in particular, found a lot of information by running into that kill over towards team main. I think they're either going to switch up how they play aggressively, or they're just going to completely give it up. That passive approach that Rebirth did towards the beginning of the game was pretty healthy for them. Carson playing by that beige train on B, where I believe he's actually pretty much located to right now. Could be good if he gets an AUG or something in his hands. He's a spotting for the cross, but he's tagged down to half HP while trying to do that very brave task. He's not going to be long for this world, and the thing is, nor are probably any of his teammates. They're equipped with a couple of upgrade pistols. Although it will be a slugfest over towards the B-bomb site, I'm not really sure if Rebirth are going to be present for the occasion. They haven't cleared out the Spindles player in Exotic, and honestly, that might be good for a couple of kills, at least in theory. However, theory isn't actuality. Good cleanup by Kinship. They take a third, even things up. And that's definitely a result that you can be happy with. As we move on to number 7, Rebirth still do not have a very good buy in their hands here, but they will be forcing up what they can. It'll come in the form of a Scout, FAMAS, and 3 M4s across the remaining members. Kinship, they are absolutely just waiting in the money. They will be rewarded probably with not a couple of kills, but with a couple of deaths. Somehow, some way, Rebirth have already taken this into a 4v1. I want to try to cover this play-by-play, but again, this is another situation where it's a slugfest, and the action is basically over. It's a minute 20 left on the clock, and already Rebirth have clocked in. A blistering pace taken. Has you wondering what the hell just happened. A very convincing show. And I don't think Kinship are going to be trying to go for that early aggro play out towards A again. This time it wasn't even necessarily polished by, or excuse me, punished, not polished. Punished by some of the early utility sets you see out from some CTs. That was mainly that back Olaf play. Probably more actually accurate to call it a back Ivy play, and then also the aggressive stance taken by Exotic by E-Box. Similar situation and similar setup being taken by Rebirth this time around, though. The money isn't quite taken care of on the Kinship side, so they will buy a couple of more rifles. And it's already not off to a good start. Quick B presence and B pivot will be their best chances to try to recover this round, but there is absolutely no shot, bucko. It's Chop against 5 as he's the lone lurker outside of A main. Maybe a couple of kills just to try to dent the economy a little bit more here. If you can get at least one of those AWPs, you know, that'd be good news. But we can't really talk about him possibly winning this round, at least for the next couple of kills. The thing is, he's probably going to die to Cynic right here. I think that is the case. 50-50 goes the way of the Rebirth member. Heads up play to watch for that sort of thing. Not always the easiest thing in the world to do, but I think if the timing was just about right for him to be a little bit aware of the potential. Great start again from Rebirth. Setting it for an A execute right from the get-go here, and there's that normal utility set. As I was mentioning, a lot of teams just like to go for that right off the get-go. And the thing is, although that has worked out and it has warded off the Kinship side for now, Cynic is already in, flanking around team main here. Rebirth have already massacred them. These rounds, have had a lot of kills happening quickly that there's not really too much you can do when it comes to play-by-play other than just try to read the kill feed. When it comes to Sean in a 1v3, now the action will be a little bit better paced for some sort of kill feed calling, but all I can say is that Carson won't let any chance slip by. Sean, as he picked up the scout, got one more kill before he eventually fell to like the rest of his comrades, but it's a shallow grave. Kinship, they can now recover and try to get themselves back on track as they once more pick up an AWP to match that 4-pack. I want to keep an eye on 4-pack. Yep, there it is. There's that upper B push again. As I mentioned, I'm not going to say it's exactly his bread and butter, but it's something I always love seeing, and I think Kinship, they're aware of it. 4-pack, he overstays his welcome inside the Molotov and nearly goes down because of it. Still, though, it's okay. We can collect ourselves and pretend that everything is all right. Kinship, they've gone down 4v5. This is not a new scenario for them, but, you know, in the past, I'm not sure if they've actually done it this game. Excuse me if I missed it, but I don't think they've won a 4v5 in the past, a 5v4. Now could be a change. Because Swan is watching for any push outside of Ivy. And well, he does back off the angle to go ahead and join the fight over towards what seems will be a B bomb site. A lot rides on him. To be effective with that AWP, probably will be seeing him go out over towards upper if they can. Rebirth aren't exactly present for the occasion. They have 2 players committed and not a ton of utility. 4-pack is going to be essential here. That Molotov could probably change the entire scene. 4 players out over towards ramps. This could be a frag movie clip. Carson, hold the line, and you'll definitely be rewarded with a couple of kills. 2 for him. 4-pack will now come in to try to save the day, but he doesn't need your help. Phantom, he snatches away that last kill, but I think Carson had that under control even if he wasn't present at all. What a sick cleanup by the man. It started out so good for Kinship as well. He made this 3-3 at one point. They were actually looking like pretty hefty contenders for the Rebirth, or for the Rebirth side of things, but as of late, not so much. The gun rounds have looked incredibly quick. The thing is, Carson is now not even trying to show respect. He goes swinging in over towards B main. Probably not the wisest move in the world here. They've just given up a ton of control to the Kinship side, and they will leap upon that opportunity and at least secure that C4. But the retake will quickly begin. Rebirth, they aren't to be outmatched by a silly opportunity given up like this. Although the push has begun in from Kinship to try to close the distance, they aren't going to be quite ready for just the sheer amount of pressure that is coming their way. It's Chop now in a 1v4 here, but they're going to be catching on to his angle. Even if he found that first kill, there's nothing he could do. I love the team damage as well. Oh my god, don't kill 4-pack now, Phantom. Christ, dude. And with that, the majority of rounds will go the way of Rebirth. Albeit, Kinship have not exactly had the best luck as of late. That was an eco. Got the bomb down. They can play from there and, you know, maybe get away with another golden opportunity like Carson just basically gifted to them. This time he's pushing, going for the 4-pack play, but the early Molotov out is so good. Yo, Pineapple Phillips. Yes, I have heard of Sugma. I'm actually a really big fan of Ligma personally, but I mean, Sugma's okay too. Do not interact with chat. Wait, are you not supposed to for Next Big Caster? Oops. I have learned the hard way. I think Kinship have learned the hard way that actually breaking through onto the site is nigh impossible against this ironclad triple. Like, there's this Triforce kind of defense from Rebirth at the moment here. Look, there's just so many layers to it. This is disgusting. Oh my god, Exotic will have all of his comrades fall, but he still stands, I wouldn't say tall, but he stands. And he now will stand tall. That first kill is huge onto the bomb carrier. The second one, probably not going to actually work out for him in the long term, but Cynic will be ready. And it's all falling apart for the Kinship side. Another golden opportunity gone to waste. And how many does that make it now? giving up 9 rounds to Rebirth on the CT side of Train. Thing is, like, sure, Train is a CT-sided map, and Rebirth have a very solid defense on it, but they don't have the best record on Train. And the thing is, I don't even feel like Rebirth are doing anything necessarily special. In fact, I think they're playing, you know, probably not optimally. Check out some of the aggro plays that they're doing. They're giving up a lot of util damage to some of the players on Kinship. Let's take a gander at it. Yeah, you see, you know, 75, 74. That's all Molotov damage from when they were trying to push upper. It's not optimal, but damn well it's doing the job. It's actually really interesting to look at these flashes, though. Take it. What? Wait, no way this is real. Compare the flashes right now. Rebirth Esports. Their highest player has 7. 2 of the players, Phantom and Exotic, the top fraggers on the moment, at the moment, excuse me. They haven't flashed anybody. Is this real? What? This has got to be fake. Like, falsified or something, because these flash stats, I mean, this makes sense. I understand this from Kinship, but I don't know, man. Nothing has been working for Kinship, hasn't it? I'm just surprised Rebirth are winning all their fights, considering how blind apparently some of these members from Kinship have been. Pineapple Phillips saying, if you flash over top T-Con, you get 3 free flashes each round. Okay, that's fair, but I'm not sure if they've really been doing that on a lot of their defaults, Kinship. They usually do it on their execs, don't get me wrong, but that's a standard par of an exec. Rebirth don't seem to be scared of that potential at all. Phantom is still warding outside of Team Main. And also, I have no idea why it would be against the rule to not interact with chat, but there are some rules that must be followed, so I wouldn't be surprised. You never know. Ivy push in from Kinship. It's a change of pace, something we haven't exactly seen from them so far, and well, the best headline of it all is Rebirth aren't watching for this whatsoever. There's a pivot back by Grape, as I believe he might get caught off guard. That flashbang actually gives away a ton of information. Kinship probably going to be wrapping all the way around B, but who else but 4-Pack is ready for the occasion. People trying to KZ, but they drop the bomb on their way to doing it. Why are they just feeding into the crosshairs of 4-Pack here? Carson will be here to join the fun, and Kinship again! They let another opportunity slip by the wayside. This just keeps happening. At least Scrape is there to survive the rest of his team. But they just got choke held back in the old bomb position. Couldn't get a single inch past. I feel so bad for Kinship at the moment. Sure, they're not having the best showing right now, again, as I mentioned, but I feel like, considering how this game started, he should be doing a little bit better against Rebirth. Again, that wasn't the cleanest play in the world. 4-Pack, you know, he missed a pretty lethal shot. There was no pivot to punish the second player, Carson, rotating in. Sure, this stuff is, you know, hindsight being 20/20. There's a reason, again, I'm not competing in MDL, but this just isn't really the normal Kinship that we saw for most of the season, and especially at the beginning of this game. 10-3. Probably going to be... Okay, well, we're probably not going to be seeing a round at all. Another pause. Double AWP picked up by Rebirth for the side of Kinship. Just a couple of upgrade pistols. They can half buy this, realistically. I would imagine Chop and or Swan are going to be fully saving. That way they can pick up an AWP come next round. The final one of the half. Matters the most, doesn't it? But I'm not really too excited. Kinship have a long, long way to go, and it's going to be an uphill battle the entire time. Because Rebirth, like, if you think their CT side is aggressive, just get ready for their T side executes. They play really slow, at least to start things out. But otherwise, they just let loose completely. The Hero AK-47, provided by Chop. They have to have insanely high hopes for this one. When you're down 10-3 and Chop hasn't even been the superstar, hasn't even been the top fragger for your team, it's not really seeming incredible. Exotic will open us up, though, in very quick fashion, getting 2 kills. Probably going to get taken down after the third, but that's given enough time for his teammates and Phantom to go ahead and rotate their way over. Aura with a nice little double kill, however, will put us back into a very winnable situation. It's double deagles versus the rifles on Rebirth. But those are guns that can easily be retrieved. Aura will actually extend for that mission, pick up an AWP of his own. Thing is, there's already begun to be a little bit of a rotate, a little bit of a mix-up in the action here, and Carson probably can't get out of this one unscathed. He's already eaten a little bit of damage, and how does Cynic respond to it? By just rotating to watch the bomb. Oh, this is brilliant. Rebirth. They should have this round hook, line, and sinker. This will have to be an early kill from Aura. If not, then the round is probably over. No, Cynic! He looks the wrong way! Oh, God, no! Now this is definitely winnable. Well, Kinship, you gotta be praying to your lucky stars, because you have just found the golden opportunity of a lifetime. A free bomb site all for yourself. Cynic, he's looking back, but bomb has already been retrieved at this point. Carson, now that he's realized that bomb has been taken and the full rotate has happened. Kinship, they still can't believe their luck. They're clearing out every single angle. They're being incredibly thorough with this, and as they should be. We'll put that bomb down when there's absolutely no time left on the clock, but Aura now needs to hope that he doesn't get caught off by Carson. That won't be the case, and it'll all be back on Swan. He's 2-11 at the moment here. Kill number 3, just barely evading his crosshairs. But I think his position has now been found. Molotov out. Carson. Does he actually watch for this? He doesn't. Could have been such a sick play if he did. Cynic gets a bit of a nasty one to finish us up. And my God, this is starting to get a little bit depressing at this point. 11-3, Kinship, another opportunity squandered. That wasn't even necessarily their fault, by the way. I'm not going to go ahead and like shame Kinship for losing that round. You know, it was a 2v2 and they had no information. You know, these guys are a pretty sick team. They earned their way to MDL for sure. Unfortunately, they just really do not seem to be having the best showing in the world when it comes to this Rebirth game. That surprise win for over Rugrats, excuse me, has been their best result by far this season. They've had a couple of glimmers of hope, such as that relatively close game that they had versus Depth, which they managed to nearly come back from a 1-10 deficit. Been a lot of hollow defeats. This is looking an awful lot like one. Kinship, again, maybe you can go ahead and try to change my mood on this. Rebirth, on the last round of the half here, they have such a sick read on this. You see how exotic he's already pushing through team main? There's 4 players from Rebirth committed in. Carson, he's just trying to temper the beast right now. This is so insanely dangerous. I cannot believe he's actually going for this, and I can't believe he's actually going to get rewarded for this. He gets a kill out of it. That's good enough. Now the rotates can even get a bit more aggressive, but Rebirth won't. They'll hold on. They realize that they have time, they have util here, and that util will actually be used perfectly to force out Aura to take a more aggressive stance. Rebirth, they're down by numbers at the moment here, and although things have been evened up, they haven't accounted quite yet for how Aura can maybe fit into this puzzle. Still sitting in the smoke here. Sean nowhere really to be found here. Aura, he searches for 1 kill, and that will be the only kill that he gets, to be honest. Cynic with a Molotov onto the bomb. Or excuse me, Sean with a Molotov onto the bomb, I should say. Cynic does finish this up here, but he's going to be going up with the bomb as well. Good round from Kinship. They had that man advantage the whole time, but very, very important round for Aura to actually go nuclear. It wasn't an ace, and it's not something that you're going to be seeing as an HLTV highlight, don't get me wrong. But it was definitely a very, very solid play. The fact that he nearly got both kills. I have to say, Cynic has been taking a really vertical approach with the AWP. I'm super curious to see how Rebirth actually try to exploit that. Or if, you know, it will be exploited at all. I'm sure that's not exactly a key factor. I think Cynic is just fine opping wherever. Plus, I usually think of 4-pack when I think opping. But 4-11 at the half regardless. It's not beautiful for Kinship, but at least they have those to call theirs. Now they'll move on to the CT side of things, where at least statistically it does favor them. But there is a long, again, upwards climb they have to make. It all starts on the pistol, doesn't it? And right on cue, we actually will head into the pistol. Welcome back. Again, if you're just tuning in, my name is Ito, and this is for Mountain Dew League Season 13. It's 4-11 in favor of Rebirth over Kinship. But now they'll be moving on to the bit of a tougher half. And things can get a little bit dicey from here. Immediate execute out towards A. We're not going to be seeing anything fancy. We don't need any bells or whistles on our pushes out here. And it's just going to be straight up gunfights, taken at their own terms too. Rebirth, they realize that's not a duel that they want to take here. They'll be going over towards the bomb train, storming it over, moving into heaven. And this is already a beautiful setup here. They haven't lost any players, but they haven't exactly done any damage either. Finally, the C4 will get planted, and all hell will now break loose. Ara, he's going to open us up, cracking open a kill onto 4-pack here. A very important player to have taken out of commission. Thing is, Phantom can easily respond with one of his own. Carson has done double of that duty. Quick flanking in over towards Z, excuse me. It should be closed all out from there here. Rebirth, I mean, they didn't have to do it to them that nasty. Another situation going by the wayside. PP Bison for 4-pack. That's not something you see all too often. I'm going to keep my eye on him. As we would expect for a very one-sided pistol round like that, you'll see Kinship force. Double scout action as well. I'm actually really interested in this. This could pan out pretty well for them. The Swan has already been made a victim of. Aggression will not stop. Great punishes that attempt. A nice little kill onto the PP Bison wielding member of Rebirth Esports. The aggression still is maintained, and eventually the gap is closed. It's going to have to be Grape pulling off a miraculous 1v3, but he doesn't even get a third of the way there. At what point can we just start saying, you know, wrap it up? It's just about over. The answer is not yet. There's still a little bit of time for Kinship to come back online. This won't be the round that it happens, almost certainly. Although that knife onto Cynic does help. Good flashes over. Oh, this is going to be brilliant. A gamble stack out from Kinship. Wise move for them to make with pistols. Doesn't pan out though, just losing the fights, and it's a massacre. Again, as I said though, that's probably not the round where it's going to happen. Exotic, are you getting a little bit silly? I saw that TK, bro. You can't hide from me. I think that's a pretty good show of how Rebirth are treating this game at the moment here. They're having fun with it. No reason not to. It's 4-14, and this is a team that on paper you should be beating 9 out of 10 times. But this is the actual first gun round for Kinship. They're not letting anything go by for free. Exotic, maybe he's going to be getting his just desserts for trying to get that TK right there and actually, I guess, being successful. That's a gun that 4-pack had to rebuy, and I'm pretty sure he's not too happy about that, even though they are winning 4-14. And 4-pack has teamed with Exotic before. You know what? You know, maybe he's not actually too stressed about it. Again, this win is practically in the palm of their hands, although this is not looking awfully great for them. The exec all set up for action. And although the rotates are quick in as well, Kinship, they need to actually get these shots off as well. The thing is, they take care of the initial player pushing out. I believe it was Phantom. And what? On top of the spindle? I haven't seen that, I think, ever. Interesting. They can play this post plant now because of that interesting position adopted from Carson. He gets over to relative safety to the bomb train here, and not much utility remains on the T side. The CTs, they're faring a little bit better. But considering how Rebirth have played some of these rounds prior, I think they should be completely fine. Nice, good trade 1-for-1. That's exactly what they needed. And in fact, they're able to actually squeak out another one on top of it. Carson, buying so much time at the moment, basically makes it so Swan needs to close the distance. But he won't have any shot from there on. A 5v4 easily reclaimed, picked up from Rebirth, and snatched away. It's beginning to look a lot like the end of the line here. There's almost nothing at this point that can convince me otherwise. I've been, you know, expecting this kind of result. Maybe not this one-sided, but, you know, a Rebirth victory nonetheless. This is getting ridiculous. They're not being too silly with it. I think Exotic is the only one who's maybe having a little bit of fun toying with his food as he picks up a Desert Eagle. Although he has 6k in his pockets. Don't worry, we don't need an ESEA investigation. Just realizing he's toying with his food again a little bit. And Rebirth, maybe they've been punished a little bit more than they were expecting. They lost a player. Nice flash out to trade out Aura, but that's respectable. The second one, that is a little less forgivable. Kinship. That was not a kill that they really need to do, nor exactly a position that they needed to take. Again, hindsight's 20/20, but I think he's going to be kicking himself for trying to go for that sort of duel. At least Swan will be able to try to put this right back into the path of victory for Kinship and maybe keep their dreams alive. Cynic, as he tries to catch a player crossing outside of Ivy, won't find much of anything here, and he'll try to extend for a bit more map control. Double AWPs on Rebirth. And the last smoke being used just to go ahead and cross into relative safety onto the A bomb site. Second player has been spotted, but Swan will respect it. This is a fight he doesn't exactly want or need to take. From here, Kinship should be able to close this out. Sean has a very strong power position at the moment. Gets at least that first kill. It's not clean, but it's a kill nonetheless. And Swan, I guess he'll be able to close this out as well. There we have it. Kinship. They're back on the board. Still a long, long way away before we can actually call this a comeback. We would need 10 more rounds in a row just to force us to overtime. Let's not go ahead and have that discussion just yet. When the time comes. Swan and Grape going to be inheriting the AWPs. Exotic still with the Desert Eagle. Okay, dude, you have enough money for an AK. Chill, bro. He just gets killed immediately right off the bat. This has got to be tilting for you, Exotic. This has got to be like 4 rounds in a row you've died first now. Like, I understand you're having fun, but come on, bro. This isn't fun for anybody involved. I know you can easily pop heads with the AK. Especially so, even with an AWP. Maybe 4-Pack is going to go ahead and try to show you how it's done. He's popping bodies at least for that one. The second one is a nice little headshot. There's no refrag attempt from the remaining CTs, however. And it becomes a lot more difficult to have to deal with this issue. He could be anywhere at this point. 4-Pack also has absolutely no idea on where these remaining members could be. He should be caught out by Grape. But that was so much more damage than I think Kinship actually should have been taking. Okay, Exotic, what's your gun of choice now? Desert Eagle. Actually a wise decision for this one. Basically nobody on Rebirth can really afford anything more. But they'll be trying to make this into a full force. And that can kind of mess with the idea. Early utility drain in from Kinship. Sean, did he actually... Interesting. I'm wondering what info he had to go ahead and toss out that Molotov right off the bat. Usually you see a lot of teams just like shoulder peek the angle. At least Sean should be able to deal with this. Or perhaps not. Maybe Swan. Maybe you can get a kill, Swan. Oh no. Oh, this is going from bad to worse. Rebirth. Are they seriously going to win it off of a round like this? The M4 has been retrieved. 4-Pack, he's angry. He's going to be able to get a kill off of it. And Grape Struggles to trade it out, but it's a trade. Alright, back into a pretty good situation for Rebirth Esports. Chop, yeah, he has this round. It's going to be 7-15. Gotta say, good stuff from Kinship. That was actually a really solid take. And a retake, I should say. They're getting a little bit better and better and a bit more comfortable with how Rebirth are doing this. But obviously, it doesn't take a genius to find out that Rebirth are having a little bit more fun. That was a force up with four Desert Eagles, excuse me. This is not a cause for concern yet. Kinship, at least, is a bit more promising. That was a genuinely good clapback towards the beginning of that retake. Actually, it wasn't really that long of a retake, so maybe for the majority of it. As for new things to note here, probably no one was expecting Carter to already Carson to already push out towards B. I can most certainly tell you I wasn't. But this is kind of a, classic Rebirth in action. They go for absolutely hog wild plays, and usually it works out for them. They have immense individual skill. While it might not actually be enough to secure this round, surely they'll be able to at least force this into a bit more of an awkward situation for the remaining two Kinship members. A Galil and an AWP will be their artillery of choice. A smoke out over towards the sidewalk. Phantom gets out without any further damage onto his body. He can't really afford any more dents into him. Chop. Bit of a messy duel, but he wins it out. 72 HP for him, only 4 on Phantom. So it should be 8-15 now, almost certainly. Phantom, he takes the initial duel and loses the second one. It continues. The game just doesn't seem to want to end. I don't know what to say, man. It's just not ending. Rebirth have forced up every single round. Once I actually see them decide to eco, that's how I know, alright, maybe they're a bit more serious. But until then, I'm not holding my breath. Kinship. At least they're managing to deal with these problems that are being thrown at them. Carter kind of being a wild card towards upper B is always tough to deal with. But hey, problem solved, right? Now they'll try to aggress in over towards team main. Get rewarded with a frag. Good news. Suddenly Kinship have the lead. Now this is just a straight up good individual 1v1 fight one. Oh, fancy bells or whistles to actually take that duel. Utility running dry for both teams in the server at the moment here. 2 flashbangs for Kinship, 2 smokes for Rebirth. But those smokes are going to be good enough to actually sell and execute. Hell, they can make it a fake if they wanted to. There's so many options that they have at the moment. However, one option they don't have is Sean. They can't exactly let him live. Doesn't end up being that much of a factor as I thought he would be. But Rebirth, do they actually want to commit in over towards B? Chop. He's rotated all the way around. He's going to be able to take down the player. First one in Phantom, excuse me. The second one, not going to be the case. We're back into another even man scenario here. No util except for that single flashbang that Grape is still holding on to. But that is going to have to be a god flash. And Carson, I think he's already done. Not time for him to disconnect from the server, he thinks. Aura against 3. Phantom has already left the building. And I think now the rest of Rebirth can. I think all of Kinship can as well. It has been a very depressing game, I'd say, for the entirety of Kinship. They're able to fight back with a couple of more rounds towards the end of that. But, Rebirth, they were ready to win. They went ahead and actually decided to close it out. 8-16 will be the final score, and, well, not too bad. Yo, Mata, thanks for watching the stream, man. Sorry about your depth loss today, but hey, it was still fun to watch your game. What was that one insane round that you had? I remember... Oh no, it was that really unlucky timing that you had There was a time where you're watching Shane for that overpass boost for like 30 seconds or something. Yeah. And then as soon as you looked away,